Oh, Frank. Good morning. Good morning. How we doing? How we doing? Yo, Jill. I know I'm muted. I was just testing to see if you guys are watching. How we doing, everybody? Hey, if you're still breathing, there's nothing to complain about. There is nothing to complain about. Hey, Gamerboy, thanks for the love. Gamerboy722, freaking W's in the chat for Gamerboy, best mod out there. Hey, screw Cookie, he's the worst mod. Gamerboy722 is the best mod out there. I'm just kidding. Cookie, you there? Is Cookie there? Hey, are you guys breathing today? It looks like it. Keyboard warriors, unite. Who's ready to send some angry messages through the chat? Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to send some mean messages through the chat? It's what you guys love to do, isn't it? Who's ready to send some genuine messages through the chat? Only a few of you will do that, and those are the people I will listen to. Namar is the Apple guy. Okay, so today I'm going to be researching the Israel-Palestine war. Why? Well, because it's something that's going on in the world, obviously. And it's something that's going on in the world, and it's something that I haven't looked into because I have no reason to look into it until now. Until now, I'm actually curious about it because now I've been, researching Islam. Hashtag Islam. Hashtag Bible. Hashtag Bible and Islam. Hashtag comparing. Hashtag. So I've been comparing the two, and researching Islam. So now it's led me, now I'm like, oh, Palestine. Oh. Islamic nation, or is it a nation? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out today. So hashtag monotheism. That's really what it's all about. Hashtag monotheism. I mean, we're throwing up check Tuesday. Today's Friday, but we're checking it up. We're checking it up today. And so today I'm going to be researching the Israel-Palestine war for the next few hours. And I hope you guys can provide me some videos to watch, some links to go to, and yeah, we can figure out what's really going on, because the news is a complete lie, as always. So I've heard the news talking about the war, and I've heard other people talking about the war, but I don't believe shit. I don't believe anything anyone tells me about what's going on the other side of the world unless they have a hand account of it, or unless I really trust that person. And I pretty much don't trust anyone. I'm thinking of an example. Like, one of my friends, his name is James. He reads a lot online, and when he says things, I know he speaks with some authority because he genuinely looks into it for hours on end. And I know that even that the people who actually do that end up finding some truths. They end up finding what's beneath it. Now, you still don't get the full picture. I mean, the only way to get the full picture is to actually go there ourselves. So if anyone would like to buy me a flight, I'll head over there right now and do a research project. But until then, let's begin doing this, guys. This is what my screen looks like on my end. Just so you know, isn't that cool? What does James say about Islam? Hey, we got to get my friend James on here. He'd be a great guy to talk to about it. Free PlayStation. Free PlayStation. So let's start off. What is Israel? Because it seems that Jewish people run the world. At least apparently. That's what everybody says. But what is Israel? Country in Asia. What? Dang, you trying to get banned. Yeah, maybe I don't want to get banned. Can you guys see my screen pretty well, or do you want me to like zoom in a little bit? Can you guys see it? Why does it say I'm researching evolution? This is not evolution. Can you guys see my screen well? When you drive back in the car, drive back. It's good? All right, thanks, Khalid. Zoom a bit. Israel, the only Jewish nation in the world, is a small country in the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea. For its relatively small size, the country has played a large role in global affairs. Very true. I made a podcast on Palestine and Israel for a school project. Oh, wow. Wait, Israel is in Asia? Why does Google say it's in Asia? Oh, Hamad is from Jerusalem. Ooh, Hamad TV, what's happening over there? Let us know, brother, in the chat. It's like I hear all these terms. Yo, CCT. Try it. Thank you again for the reggaeton. Much appreciated. Wait, reggaeton or reggae? Reggae is the chill music. Reggaeton is the Spanish party music. It's truly the brave who venture into the truth of this topic. Yeah, I have a feeling I might get canceled for this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm definitely going to get canceled one of these days. And when I say canceled, I mean my account's going to get, like, restricted or something. But you can't actually be canceled because we'll just find another way. Okay, so Israel is a Middle Eastern country on the Mediterranean Sea, is regarded by Jews, Christians, and Muslims as the biblical Holy Land. Its most sacred sites are in Jerusalem, within its old city. The Temple Mount complex includes the Dome of the Rock Shrine, the historic Western Wall, Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Israel's financial hub, Tel Aviv, is known for its bachos architecture and beaches. Beaches. Life's a bitch. Beach. Gaza. So again, you're watching a man with I'm pretty somewhat aware of what's going on in the world. And I just mean in general, I know there's a war going on, but I have spent zero time looking into it because of just regular reggae music. Yeah, CCT, that's the best. Hey, Starfruit, you cook and listen. So you guys are gonna hear an objective point of view from this. I'm literally starting from ground zero. What is Israel? I mean, obviously I know this is like the center of the freaking world. It makes sense that the religion started in the center. I mean, humans are believed to have started in Africa. Can't break what's already, Brock. What you talking about? Muhammad Saad, thank you for supporting this conversation, but what are you talking about, man? You're scaring me. Gaza. I hear that word on the news. Gaza. Is there really bombs going off like daily? Where is the Israel-Palestine war taking place? Wait, how do you guys know that there's bombs going off every day? Like, how do you know? Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Key aspects of the conflict include the Israel occupation of the West Bank in Gaza Strip, the status of Jerusalem, Israelite sentiments, border security, water rights, the permanent regime, Palestine freedom of movement, and the Palestine right of return. Where is the war taking place? But if you guys are getting your information from news channels, then that is not trustworthy. Hey ChatGPT, I'm trying to research the Israel-Palestine war. Please tell me where exactly the war is going on. Meaning, where are the bombs being dropped? Where are people passing away? What exact area is this? Is it known? What websites can I go to get some unbiased facts on this? Then again, I don't even really trust you, ChatGPT, because you're probably programmed by the Zionist. But let me know. It's understandable that you want to get information about the most risk of... Oh, it's been going on for decades? What? In terms of where the conflict is happening, it primarily involves the terrorists of Israel, the Gaza Strip, and the West Bank. Israel, Gaza Strip, and West Bank. I've heard all these terms, West Bank, Gaza, but like, what does that even mean? Oh, so Gaza is a Palestinian city in the Gaza Strip. Prior to the 2023 Israel-Hamas war, it is the most populous city in the state of Palestine with 590,000. Whoa. So everyone in Palestine is Muslim, more or less? Or wait, Gaza I meant. So everyone in Gaza is Muslim, more or less? The majority of the population in the Gaza Strip is indeed Muslim, predominantly Sunni. However, there are also smaller religious minorities, including Christians and a very small number of other religion groups. The Gaza Strip has a diverse population, but Muslims make up the overwhelming majority. There is no... Is Israel a country? Israel declared independence in 1948 and has since developed into a modern nation state with a diverse population and parliamentary democracy. However, the status of certain territories such as the West Bank and the Gaza Strip is subject to ongoing dispute and negotiation with the Palestinians. What are the Palestinians? The Palestinians are an ethno-Hellenic group primarily inhabiting the area historically known as Palestine, which includes present-day Israel, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip. All right, y'all. Let's start taking notes, okay? Oh, you'll want to define country. Many Muslims share the sentiment that Israel isn't a country. Oh. Hey, Starfruit, don't tell me what to do, all right? I don't like your attitude with that period, okay? I don't fuck with that. Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna Google this. Guys, I can see some messages. I can't see them all. If you do super chat, I will see it. And again, of course, it helps support these conversations. Other than that, I should be reading most of the chats, but I might turn it off every now and then so I can focus. So, what should I title my notes here, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just going to title it Israel. Yeah, to get the full picture, I think we need a back. What is Nakba? Everyone chill. Everyone in the chat. Okay? I'm gonna need everyone to calm. Hey. Nakba, which means catastrophe. Wait, what? Catastrophe? Why am I forgetting how to say that word? Catastrophe. The Nakba, which means catastrophe in Arabic, refers to the mass displacement and disposition of Palestinians during the 1948 Arab-Israel War. Before the Nakba, Palestine was a multi-ethnic and multicultural society. The Nakba was the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in mandatory Palestine during the 1948 Palestine War through their violent displacement, disposition of land, property, and belongings, along with destruction of society, culture, identity, politics, and nation aspirations. Interesting. Okay, so it looks like this goes back to 1948. I mean, obviously it goes further than that, but... ChatGPT, whose fault is it? Israel or Palestine? Let me know. Determining fault in Israel-Palestine conflict is a highly contentious and complex matter with deep historical, political, and cultural roots. Both Israel and Palestine have grievances, claims to land, and narratives that shape their perspective on the conflict. From a neutral standpoint, it's important to recognize that assigning blame solely to one side oversimplifies the issue and ignores the complexity of the situation. This conflict involves a long history of competing nationalism, territorial disputes, security concerns, human rights violations, and geopolitical dynamics. Historically, both Israel and Palestine have experienced displacement, violence, oppression, contributing to a cycle of conflict and retaliation. Factors such as the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, Nakba. First sip of coffee today. Woo! You guys think ChatGPT is Zionist? Oh. Got that coffee. It looks like water though. ChatGPT is Jew. Why do people say that Jewish people run the world? Why is that a thing that's so...
There's a new way to get a high-quality, affordable degree.
Banking?
Backlash over comedian Dave Chappelle is facing new backlash over his opening monologue on Saturday Night Live.
He's being called out by some in the Jewish community who say his comments about anti-Semitism went too far. CBS 2's Jessica Moore explains.
I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time.
Dave Chappelle kicked off his Saturday Night Live monologue, appearing to give Kanye West a playbook on how to avoid blowback after making anti-Semitic remarks, a move that cost West $1.5 billion in partnership deals.
I have a lot of Jewish friends, so I'm not freaked out by your culture. I know a little bit about it just from hanging around. I'll be like, yo, let's go out after school tomorrow. They'll be like, we can't go out, it's Shana Na tomorrow. I'll be like, what?
The president of the Anti-Defamation League blasted NBC, saying in part, disturbing to see NBC SNL not just normalize, but popularize anti-Semitism. Why are Jewish sensitivities denied or diminished at almost every turn? Why does our trauma trigger applause?
When you first saw the monologue, were you offended?
No, when I saw that and he was referring to Shana Na, I was laughing. I mean, I thought that was really funny.
But David Schwartz, former president of his Long Island Temple,
I saw one news pundit screaming about Kanye. She said, mental health is no excuse for that type of language. Yes, it is, bitch. You can kill somebody if you're mentally ill. I don't think Kanye is crazy at all. I think he's possibly not well. Well, I've been to Hollywood. It's a lot of Jews. Like a lot. But that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. Doesn't mean we run the place.
We have been evolving for 3.7 billion years, since life began on Earth. For most of that time, our ancestors are unrecognizable to us. That Nyanga in Kenya, researchers that lived at this time.
Okay. Historically, both Israel and Palestine have experienced displacement, violence, and oppression contributing to a cycle of conflict and retaliation. Factors such as the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, displacement of Palestine is referred to as the Nakba, the occupation of Palestinian territories. Ultimately, sustainable resolution of both the conflict will likely require recognition of legitimate rights, concerns, and aspirations. What is the Nakba? Vox, I don't trust Vox.
One of the
for
biggest
shit.
myths about
Let's watch this carefully because Vox is not trustworthy.
the Israel-Palestine conflict is that it's been going on for centuries, all about ancient religious hatreds. In fact, while religion is involved, conflict's mostly about two groups of people who claim the same land, and it really only goes back about a century to the early 1900s. Around then, the region along the eastern Mediterranean we now call Israel-Palestine been under Ottoman rule for centuries, was religiously diverse, including mostly Muslims and Christians, also a small number of Jews who lived generally in peace. It was changing in two important ways. First, more people in the region were developing a sense of being not just ethnic Arabs, but Palestinians, a distinct national identity. At the same time, not so far away in Europe, more Jews were joining a movement called Zionism, which said that Judaism was not just a religion, but a nationality, one that deserved a nation of its own. And after centuries of persecution, many believed a Jewish state was their only way of safety and saw their historic homeland in the Middle East as their best hope for establishing it. In the first decades of the 20th century, tens of thousands of European Jews moved there. After World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, and British and French empires carved up the Middle East, the British taking control of a region it called the British Mandate for Palestine. At first, the British allowed Jewish immigration, but as more Jews arrived, settling into farming communities, tension between Jews and Arabs grew. Both sides committed acts of violence, and by the 1930s, the British began limiting Jewish immigration. In response, Jewish militias formed to fight both the local Arabs and to resist British rule. Then came the Holocaust, leading many more Jews to flee Europe for British Palestine and galvanizing much of the world in support of a Jewish state. In 1947, as sectarian violence between Jews and Arabs there grew, the United Nations approved a plan to divide British Palestine into two separate states. One for Jews, Israel, and one for Arabs, Palestine. As in Arabs there grew, the United Nations approved a plan to divide British Palestine into two separate states. One for Jews, Israel, and one for Arabs, Palestine. The city of Jerusalem, where Jews, Muslims, and Christians...
2022 documentary Tantura, okay? We'll do that next. How do I pin? Sid Adelaide, thank you for supporting this conversation. We'll do that next.
Christians all have holy sites, was to become a special international zone. The plan was meant to give Jews a state, to establish Palestinian independence, and to end the sectarian violence that the British could no longer control. The Jews accepted the plan, and they declared independence as Israel. But Arabs throughout the region saw the UN plan as just more European colonialism trying to steal their land. Many of the Arab states, who had just recently won independence themselves, declared war on Israel in an effort to establish a unified Arab Palestine where all of British Palestine had been. The new state of Israel won the war, but in the process they pushed well past their borders under the UN plan, taking the western half of Jerusalem and much of the land that was to have been part of Palestine. They also expelled huge numbers of Palestinians from their homes, creating a massive refugee population whose descendants today number about 7 million. At the end of the war, Israel controlled all of the territory except for Gaza, which Egypt controlled, and the West Bank, named because it's west of the Jordan River, which Jordan controlled. This was the beginning of the decades-long Arab-Israeli conflict. During this period, many Jews in Arab-majority countries fled or were expelled, arriving in Israel. Then something happened that transformed the conflict. In 1967, Israel and the neighboring Arab states fought another war. When it ended, Israel had seized the Golan Heights from Syria, the West Bank from Jordan, and both Gaza and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. Israel was now occupying the Palestinian territories, including all of Jerusalem and its holy sites. This left Israel responsible for governing the Palestinians, a people it had fought for decades. In 1978, Israel and Egypt signed the U.S.-brokered Camp David Accords. Shortly after that, Israel gave Sinai back to Egypt as part of the peace treaty. At the time, this was hugely controversial in the Arab world. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat was assassinated in part because of outrage against it. But it marked the beginning of the end of the wider Arab-Israeli conflict. Over the next few decades, the other Arab states gradually made peace with Israel, even if they never signed formal peace treaties. But Israel's military was still occupying the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza, and this is when the conflict became an Israeli-Palestinian struggle. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, which had formed in the 1960s to seek a Palestinian state, fought against Israel, including through acts of terrorism. Initially, the PLO claimed all of what had been British Palestine, meaning it wanted to end the state of Israel entirely.
Seeing people with machine guns, like, this is what I used to think of all Islamic people, is this.
Fighting between Israel and the PLO went on for years, even including a 1982 Israeli invasion of Lebanon to kick the group out of Beirut.
Stillness of the ceasefire.
Sonny Katara. Wow. Wow. Sonny Katara, thank you for supporting this channel and these live streams. God bless you. And seriously, thank you for making these streams possible. Without super chats like this, I wouldn't be able to continue to do research projects like this. So thank you for supporting this research. And thank you everyone else who's watching. Sonny Katara, thank you.
Fire in southern Lebanon was shattered today by the sound of guns, bombs, and planes.
The PLO later said it would accept dividing the land between Israel and Palestine, but the conflict continued. As all of this was happening, something dramatic was changing in the Israel-occupied Palestinian territories. Israelis were moving in. These people are called settlers, and they made their homes in the West Bank and Gaza, whether Palestinians wanted them or not. Some moved for religious reasons, some because they want to claim the land for Israel, some just because the housing is cheap, often subsidized by the Israeli government. Some settlements are cities with thousands of people, others are small communities deep into the West Bank.
If you've always felt a deep yearning for Jerusalem, now is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not only to stand within its gates, but also to build the home of your dreams there.
Settlers are followed by soldiers to guard them, and the growing settlements force Palestinians off of their land and divide communities. Short term, they make the occupation much more painful for Palestinians. Long term, by dividing up Palestinian land, they make it much more difficult for the Palestinians to ever have an independent state. Today, there are several 100,000 settlers in occupied territory, even though the international community considers them illegal. But
it already seems like this is never going to end.
in the late 1980s, Palestinian frustration exploded.
Unless one group completely kills the other, which that probably won't happen.
Exploded into the Intifada, which is the Arabic word for uprising. It began with mostly protests and boycotts, but soon became violent. Israel responded with heavy force. A couple hundred Israelis, over 1,000 Palestinians died in the First Intifada. Around the same time, a group of Palestinians in Gaza, who considered the PLO too secular, too compromise-minded, created Hamas, a violent extremist group dedicated to Israel's destruction. By the early 1990s, it's clear that Israelis and Palestinians have to make peace. The leaders from both sides signed the Oslo Accords. This is meant to be the big first step toward Israel maybe someday withdrawing from the Palestinian territories and allowing an independent Palestine. The Oslo Accords established the Palestinian Authority, allowing Palestinians a little bit of freedom to govern themselves in certain areas. Hardliners on both sides opposed the Oslo Accords. Members of Hamas launched suicide bombings to try to sabotage the process. The Israeli right protests peace talks with ralliers calling Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin a traitor and a Nazi. Not long after Rabin signs the second round of Oslo Accords, a far-right Israeli shoots him to death in Tel Aviv. This violence showed how extremists on both sides can use violence to derail peace, keep a permanent conflict going as they seek the other side's total destruction. That's a dynamic that's been around ever since. Negotiations meant to hammer out the final details on peace drag on for years, and a big Camp David summit in 2000 comes up empty. Palestinians come to believe peace isn't coming, rise up in a second intifada, this one much more violent than the first. By the time it wound down a few years later, about 1,000 Israelis and 3,200 Palestinians had died. But the second intifada really changes the conflict. Israelis become much more skeptical that Palestinians will ever accept peace or that it's even worth trying. Israeli politics shift right, the country builds walls and checkpoints to control Palestinians' movements. They're not really trying to solve the conflict anymore, just manage it. The Palestinians are left feeling like negotiating didn't work, and violence didn't work, and that they're stuck under an ever-growing occupation with no future as a people. That year, Israel withdraws from Gaza. Hamas gains power, but splits from the Palestinian Authority in a short civil war, dividing Gaza from the West Bank. Israel puts Gaza under a suffocating blockade, and unemployment rises to 40%. This is the state of the conflict as we know it today.
40%.
It's relatively new, and it's unbearable for Palestinians. In the West Bank, more and more settlements are smothering Palestinians.
Again, this video
often
was
respond
recorded
with protests, and sometimes with
made
violence.
8 years ago.
The most just want normal lives. In Gaza, Hamas and other violent groups have periodic wars with Israel. The fighting overwhelmingly kills Palestinians, including lots of civilians. In Israel itself, most people have become apathetic. For the most part, the occupation keeps the conflict relatively removed from their daily lives, with moments of brief but horrible violence. There's little political will for peace. No one really knows where the conflict goes from here. Maybe a third intifada, maybe the Palestinian Authority collapses. But everyone agrees that things as they are now can't last much longer. Israel's occupation of the Palestinians is too unstable to last, and that unless something dramatic changes, whatever comes next will be much worse.
Yeah, they called it. That was 8 years ago. Did they not call it? Afet, how we doing? Much love. It looks like this ain't gonna end anytime soon, eh? And the longer this goes on, the more push-ups we need to do. Don't be fat. I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. 3 deep breaths with me. Seven deep breaths. Feels like a zen. Feels like a zen. Okay, whoever sent the small super chat earlier and they said Tantura, was that it? Tantura? They told me to watch clips of Tantura and I said I would and then I lost the chat, so I don't know where it was.
Hello, I'm David Miliband, President and CEO of the International Rescue Committee.
All right, how do I block ads on YouTube, man, without getting YouTube Premium? Umi, thank you for being here. Okay, well, I'm gonna do it later. Looks like it's too confusing.
Our humanitarian...
קוראים לי טדי קץ, היו לי כמה אירועים מוחיים, אני לא בטוח שאני זוכר את הכל. האירוע הראשון היה סביב הסיפור הזה.
He's totally nuts.
השכחתי את הדברים.
אנחנו עם טדי קץ גמרנו.
לא דיברתי עם אף אחד על זה. מה אני אספר לה שאני הייתי רוצח? כאן הם אמרו את הדברים. אתה יכול לקחת את הקלטות, אבל תיזהר, כי ירדפו אותך כמו שרדפו אותי.
השתוללו בטנטורה, זה היה משהו נורא.
אלה הקברי האחים של הכפר הזה. יש בית קברות שם, נעשה שם חנייה.
הכניסו אותם לחבית, ירו עליהם בחבית, ואני זוכר את הדם בתוך החבית.
זה לא האופי שלנו.
אנחנו עם טהור.
לא היה טבח, זה לא נכון. היה סיפורים.
Ethnic cleansing, which is what happened here, is exactly executed like that. There's no big program.
אתה רואה שבן-גוריון לגרש את האנשים משם.
היינו צוציקים, בני 18.
כבשנו טנטורה, תפסנו הרבה ערבים, אספנו אותם.
לקח פשוט מאוד ורצח אותם בתוך המכלאות.
כמה נהרגו? איזה 270-80 אני קברתי אותם.
לא היה ולא נברא. بل صدفة أنا وقفنا ونطلع كل حياة أبوي وأخوي.
I don't believe witnesses.
תעלה פתוחה, מה שאתה אומר?
זאת תעלה פתוחה.
את זה אני לא שמעתי. לאמת יש את הכוח שלה. צריך פה לשנות את המחשבה, להכיר בעובדה הזו שהייתה פה נכבה.
המדינה נתנו תשווי.
כמובן שזה הרבה יותר קל להתעלם בכלל מכל העניין, ואז לא לכלכת את המצפון.
תמחוק את זה. אני לא רוצה לדבר על זה, וזהו. אבל זה היה, מה לעשות? זה היה.
Whoa. Whoa.
Available now on video on demand.
Whoa. Watch GDF, the conflict based on a lie. Naki, thank you for supporting these conversations. I'm not going to be able to watch the whole thing.
Why is the pillow square?
I'm glad you asked. This is
Though the Israeli-Palestinian conflict didn't start with the June 1967 war, the conflict would draw the borders which shaped history to the present day and gave us the occupied territories. In just 6 days, Israel was in control of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip, the Golan Heights, and the Sinai Peninsula. By 1982, Israel had pulled out of the Sinai completely, even dismantling settlements in the process. But as for the rest of the territories, Israel remains earnestly in control, despite what Israeli officials say about Gaza.
There already exist 2 states for the Palestinians, one in Gaza
a full-blown state run by Hamas?
Israel's own leading expert on international law, Professor Yoram Dinstein, disagrees. Writing in his International Law of Belligerent Occupation, the proposition that the Israeli occupation in the Gaza Strip is
Hamas bad or good?
over is not the prevalent opinion, and the present writer cannot possibly accept it. Human Rights Watch puts it even more directly. Whether the Israeli army is inside Gaza or redeployed around its periphery and restricting entrance and exit, it remains in control. And despite what Israel's current information minister Distal Adbarian says, the Israeli Supreme Court has held that the West Bank is indeed held by the State of Israel in belligerent occupation. The long arm of the state in the area is the military commander. It's hard to argue with the fact that the continuing occupation, which has been called the world's longest, has brought decreasing material conditions and quality of life for the Palestinians. Whether through home demolitions, routine raids in the West Bank, the blockade of Gaza, which has left nearly half of its citizens unemployed and 80% of its water unfit for human consumption, to discrimination, to checkpoints, to settlements.
What is Hamas, bro? Hamas is basically George Washington team. Good, but not perfect examples of Muslims. You would probably be a part of Hamas if you were Palestinian. Whoa, what do you mean by that? The resistance for freedom. Freedom fighters. It's not a conflict, it's an occupation. I'm making my Twitter account right now on my backup email. Let's go in. Let's go see what's going on X, because X is, you know, of course it's free, because shout out Elon Musk making it free for us to know what's actually going on in the world. Bro. The official X account of the State of Israel, yes, it's really us, run by the Israel MIFA team.
Второй батальон поздравляю ветеранам. Ждем. Великой победы. Ура! 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 Ура!
Justice is a lie. In my opinion, X isn't the place to do this. You need to first read an article in the history of Zionism. Justice is a lie. Thank you for supporting this research project.
وطرحت أناشد الظلماء.
I just want to say right now, this stream is 18 plus. This is for adult audiences only. This might get very graphic. And I say big potty words, okay?
Here to show that we think it is outrageous and inexcusable for Eurovision to let Israel participate while committing a genocide. Yes, it's a song contest where Israel, a country that is currently committing a genocide in Gaza, are allowed to compete. Yeah, that is a very clear example that does say that when a country accepts in a way that, when a country behaves in a way that is unacceptable, then Eurovision excludes them. So why not Israel? Here to show that we think it is.
Anti-Zionist Jews are taking down the Israel flag from the pole. Israel is not a Jewish state. Jews in Poland do not recognize Israel state. Jews sailing Palestine.
It's working. It's working, guys. Kim K just lost 3 million of her followers. Keep doing it. Keep going it, guys. Block, block, block. Block all of them. We don't need them. We don't want to see them. We don't want to hear it. Block.
ممنوع الاكل الكل كبشايه هالقد كلبشات هالقد تيجي بدك تاكل كله مش عارف ياكل انا قعدت 23 يوم
What language is he speaking?
23 يوم عن 100 سنه
What language is he speaking?
أنا أخذونا من الساعة 3 العصر أول ما أخذونا.
Tant que nos revendications ne seront pas prises en compte sérieusement dans un sens qui nous convient, on va rester effectivement, on va rester au maximum évidemment.
Yo, what language is she speaking? That sounds spicy. Yo, what language is that? That sounds spicy AF.
Tant que nos revendications ne seront pas prises en compte sérieusement dans un sens qui nous convient, on va rester effectivement, on va rester au maximum évidemment. Comme on a pu voir la répression dans d'autres universités, peut-être que ça va pas être possible malgré notre volonté, mais donc on va essayer de rester. Nos revendications, elles sont assez simples, elles sont assez claires. On aimerait que le rectorat de l'université se positionne clairement et fermement pour un cessez-le-feu à Gaza, contre le génocide, contre l'apartheid qui est en cours. On aimerait que l'université de Genève cesse toute collaboration et tout partenariat avec les universités en Israël. Donc ça, c'est une revendication qu'on demande et qu'on y tient beaucoup.
That's a spicy language right there. Aziz, thank you for supporting these conversations. Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. They've a corrupted ends justify the means ideology. Don't take your understanding of Islam from them. Hamas was secretly supported by Israel for years. Wait, what? Hamas was supported by Israel. Darius, Hamas is a terrorist group backed by Iran. Bro, terrorist groups are hurting the image of God-fearing people who are Muslims. Because I still associate Arabic and the Middle East with just war and guns. It's sad because of these small number of people. Bro, you started from the story of the last season. Yeah, you're right, and I know that, and I realize it. I know I am. We're alive today. We have to figure out what's going on today the best I can. Bassem Youssef on Piers Morgan. He's a comedian and heart surgeon. Dean View, thank you for supporting this research project. These donations directly going to funding more time and energy devoted towards researching interesting topics such as such. Dean View, Bassem Youssef on Piers Morgan.
There's a new way to get a high-quality, affordable
If I get one more
degree
freaking
right
ad, I'm
where
gonna
you want
slap
to be,
someone.
in Aggieland.
Well, joining me now to discuss the conflict in Israel and Gaza is a TV host and satirist, Bassem Youssef. Bassem, it's great to have you back on the programme. I wish it was under different circumstances. First of all, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
Oh, it was terrible, of course. We kind of get our news kind of also secondhand because, my wife's family,
is
they
this
live
what
in
everyone
Gaza.
has been
They
saying to
have
watch?
cousins.
Yes, you're gonna die. Oh gosh. Is this? Oh no. Am I gonna get in trouble for watching this? Umi, thank you for realizing that. Okay.
And uncles there, and their house also was bombed. We haven't.
All right, let's actually go to the YouTube link.
There's a new way to get
Another
a
freaking
high-quality,
ad.
affordable degree right where you want to be, in Aggieland. We're Texas A&M Rellis, a new campus with degrees designed to fit your life, so you can get your degree your way.
Are you scared?
Well,
of being
joining me now to
canceled?
discuss the conflict.
I'm scared of my YouTube channel getting deleted because this is my only freaking. This is our community, bro. We can't have this community deleted. So you guys want me to watch this whole thing? It's 30 freaking minutes. Deuteronomy 20. Israelites taking the land from the Canaanites. God tells Israelites to inherit the land. First natives there, the Canaanites. Deuteronomy 20. Hey, Muchachos Dawa, get YouTube Premium, you poor guy. How about you shut up, Muchos Dawa? Tired of you telling me to get... Tired of you... Wait, I want to read Deuteronomy 20. Aren't the Israelites commanded? Wait, if you believe in the Torah, don't you believe that the Israelites are God's people? The Jewish people are God's people? Deuteronomy 20. I'm going to read this, then I'm going to go back to this video, okay? Everyone chill. Deuteronomy 20, I'm going to see what this says. When you go out to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army larger than your own, you shall not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is with you, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And when you draw near to the battle, the priest shall come forward and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you are drawing near for the battle against your enemies. Let not your heart faint. Do not fear or panic or be a dread of them, for the Lord your God is in who goes with them and God fight against your enemies, or to give you the victory. Then the officers shall speak to the people, saying, Is there any man who has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go back to his house, let he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. Verse 10, when you draw near to a city to fight against it, offer terms of peace to it. And if it responds to you peaceably and it opens to you, then all the people who are found and shall be forced to labor for you and shall serve you. But if it makes no peace with you, but it makes war against you, you shall then besiege it. And when the Lord your God gives it in your hand, you shall put it all males to the sword. But the woman and the little ones, the livestock and everything else in the city, all its spoil, you shall take as plunder for yourselves. And you shall enjoy the spoil of your enemies, which the Lord your God has given you. Yo, the Old Testament is freaking violent. But in the city, Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 16, in the ESV version of the Bible. You ready for this? Thus you shall do to all the cities that are very far from you, which are not cities of the nations here. But in the cities of these peoples that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance, you shall save alive nothing that breathes, but you shall devote them to complete destruction. The Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and the Hivites and the Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded you, that they may not teach you to do according to all their abominable practices they have done for their gods, and so you sin against the Lord your God. When you besiege a city for a long time, making war against it in order to take it, you shall not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. You may eat from them, but you shall not cut them down there. Are the trees in the field human, that they should be besieged by you? Only the trees that you know are not trees for food you may destroy and cut down, that you may build siege works against the city that makes war with you until it falls. So, okay, chat. Okay, so aren't the Israelites God's chosen people? Therefore, why? Of course, Jews run the world. Aren't they like the start of the religions? Okay, everyone, chill. No, they smell. Jews and Israelites aren't the same. Aziz, Israel is an illegitimate state founded by oppressive, atheist, ethno-nationalist Israelite land grabbers that coordinate with the CIA. Oh my gosh. So what does that mean? What does that mean we need to do? What does that mean for us, individual people? Does any of this have any effect on our life? Personally, I'm on the other side of the world. So what does this even have to do with me? I mean, right now, if I found $100 on the street, I mean, or when I get super chatted, $5, I'm like, ooh, $5. But this war is like trillions of dollars. They're doing this with like millions of dollars. Million, thousands, for all this power. So what effect does this have on our life? I don't even know.
Well, joining me now to discuss the conflict in Israel and Gaza is a TV host and satirist, Bassam Youssef. Bassam, it's great to have you back on the programme. I wish it was under different circumstances. First of all, what is your reaction?
I don't have time to watch it
to
right
what
now.
happened on October the 7th?
Oh, it was terrible, of course. I mean, we kind of get our news kind of also secondhand because, you know, my wife's family, they live in Gaza. They have cousins and uncles there. And their house also was bombed. We haven't been able to communicate with them for the past 3 days. Communication are lost. So we don't know actually what is the how are they doing. But you know, we're used to that. I mean, it's just like it's very repetitive. We're used to that. We're used to them being bombed every time and moving from one place to the other. You know, it's just like those Palestinians. They're very dramatic. Israel killing us. But they never die. I mean, they always come back. You know, they're very difficult to kill, very difficult people to kill. I know because I'm married to one. I tried many times, couldn't kill her.
I mean, there's a dark humour there, and I understand why. Because
no, it's not dark humour. I try to get to her every time, but she uses our kids as human shields. I can never take her out.
Again, I understand the humour, but to be serious, Bassam, about this. Tonight,
I will be serious. Now, I will be serious. I was watching your interview with Ben Shapiro, and I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
I think that Ben Shapiro is one of the smartest people who ever walked this earth. He's very, very smart. I follow him, and I believe everything he said. And when he came on your show, his solution was, and I quote, his solution was that the solution for this is for Israel to annex Gaza and to kill as many son of bitches as possible to make sure that this will never happen again. And anyone who call for a ceasefire will be a terrorist sympathizer. So God forbid, I don't want to be labeled as a terrorist sympathizer. So I agree with Ben Shapiro. I think we should kill as many son of bitches as possible.
Well, let me,
so
okay,
far,
but Bassam,
so far 3,500 people were killed, including 5,000 son of bitches in the bombing of the Baptist hospital as we speak right now. 1/3 of those 3,500 were children. So my question to Ben Shapiro is, how many more son of bitches do we need to kill so Ben Shapiro is happy?
Okay,
because it changes
Bassam,
from 1 year.
Just stop
It
you there
changes
to say,
from one. I'm sorry that Listen. I'm really at a disadvantage here. I'm looking at a camera. I don't see you. I can hear you on my
And the
ears.
reason I'm interrupting is I think it might be. I think you're conflating different interviews with Ben Shapiro. He didn't use the phrase "sons of bitches" with me. Let me play to you what he actually said on my show.
He did. Go back to your interview.
No, he didn't. That was another interview. But let me play what he said to me here.
Well, frankly, I don't believe in proportionate response to terrorism. I believe that the way that you stop terrorism is with wildly disproportionate response. That doesn't mean in terms of targeting civilians. It means in terms of killing as many terrorists as humanly possible and allowing them to dictate the terms of engagement by hiding behind civilians in areas that they are supposedly responsible for means that the only option for Israel is to surrender to Hamas's hatred of its own citizens, its willingness to use its own children as human shields. No country worth its salt could ever do that.
Now, that is substantively different to what you said he said, right? He's talking there specifically about Hamas terrorists.
I agree with him. The thing is, the question is, what is a proportionate response? Because it has been different from one tier to another. So if you look to this graph, for example, this is the death of Israeli and Palestinians, and it's changing from one year to year. It's like fluctuating like crypto. So my question is today, what is the going rate today for human lives? I mean, 2014 was a great year for Ben Shapiro. 88 Israelis were died, and there was 2,329 Palestinians killed on the other side. That is one Israeli for 27 Palestinians. That is a very good exchange rate. What I'm saying is, what is the exchange rate for today? You guys will be happy. That's my question.
Well, it's not me, guys. I'm not on either side.
No, not you. Like when I say you guys, I say like the people on the other side of that. I know that you don't think like that, Pierce. You're one of the good guys. But let me tell you something. I mean, the reason that I'm using this is that, I mean, I can't remember what happened in 2014, and there was no music festival, but there must be something. I mean, they must do something. It is their fault. It has to be something. I mean, 2018, 300 Palestinians died. Who's counting, you know? So the thing is, what my question is, let's find what is the exchange rate for human life today so we expect the future death of Palestinians and will be happy to it.
My response to that would be this, Bassem. I've thought carefully about this because I think it's very tricky for people like me to immerse ourselves into a conflict where we're not directly involved. And I thought carefully about what I feel about this. I feel that the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th supersedes anything else I've seen in this conflict did on October the 7th. About what I feel about this. I feel that the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th supersedes anything else I've seen in this conflict, really ever. The savagery, the butchery, the slaughter of 1,300 people, the shooting of babies, the 100%. Kidnapping of grandmothers, and so on. So if we can agree on that, which I think is inarguable, then the question then becomes, again, about proportion. I don't disagree that there's been a lot of bad stuff on both sides going back historically for decades. But if we agree that this was on a different level altogether, quite deliberately by Hamas, designed to provoke. No, here's my question. Let me ask you a question. And the question, because you raised it earlier about proportion. I honestly don't know what the proportionate response is. I honestly don't. I don't. I've been watching the airstrikes this week thinking...
So what's your question?
Well, I would ask you, if you were Israel, what would you...
If I was Israel.
If you were Israel and that had happened to you, what would you think would be the appropriate way for the country to respond?
I would do exactly like Israel did, kill as many people as possible since the world is letting me do it. I mean, I can do it because I can, you know? But the thing is, you know what? I agree with you. And you know what? I'm going to be even ahead of you because I see the question coming. Do you condemn Hamas for the atrocity? Yes, I condemn Hamas. I condemn Hamas. Hamas is the source of all evil. They're the reason for everything. And you know what? Let's, for a minute, imagine a world without Hamas.
Right.
What will this word look like? Let's give this word a name, and let's name this word the West Bank. Hamas has absolutely no control in the West Bank, and since the beginning of this year, only through August, 37 Palestinian kids were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. Since the occupation of the West Bank, 7,000 Palestinians were killed. No music festival, no paragliding, no Hamas. I can go on and on and on and on.
No, but you don't need to, because in a way you're preaching to the choir. I've followed this crisis.
Oh no, you're not preaching. So the thing is, like,
in the sense that I know that what you're saying has validity. Of course,
Pierce. By the way, Pierce. I am at a disadvantage here. I can hear you, I cannot see you. I am in a claustrophobic room, and so please cut me some slack and don't interrupt me and interrupt my points.
Sure.
So because this has to be fair.
Understand.
Because if you want to only hear your opinion, I can just condemn Hamas and go home. I can do that. So do you want to do that, or do you have a much more nuanced conversation?
No, I absolutely want to have a nuanced conversation. I wasn't aware I was interrupting you. I thought I was letting you speak.
Amazing. So I would say I really applaud Israel for doing
Wait, so he can't even see them when they talk? I didn't know that. Also, how's the audio sounding? Because I'm letting my mic
thing
run
that no
while it's
military
going. So are
force
you
in
guys
the
hearing
world
the
does.
audio double?
Because I heard
Or is
Ben
it sounding
Shapiro
chill?
and I heard Ron DeSantis,
Can I still
and they
comment
said
over the video?
they
Can you
said
still hear me when I
Israel
comment when
is
he's
the
talking?
only military force in the world that warns civilians before bombing them. I mean, how fucking
you,
cute!
Sad.
That is so nice of them. Because with this logic, if Russian troops started warning Ukrainians before bombing their houses, we're cool with Putin, right? I mean, okay, Habibi, you have warned them, go invade. It's fine. You have done your job. I mean, the thing is, and I understand, and I also heard Ben Shapiro talking about Human Shield. So you remember my wife's family, they live in Gaza. So I asked them, I told them, when Israel gives you the nice warning, the cute warning, does Hamas force you to stay in your home so you can be bombed and use as human shield? You know what? Hassan, here, my wife's cousin, he's a loser. You know, he told me. You know, when I asked him, does that happen? He told me, no. The lying son of a bitch lied to me. I told him, you don't understand. Ben Shapiro and Ron DeSantis keep saying that Israel warns you and Hamas asked you to stay put. So I told you, he's a loser. He never kept a job. He even failed in all of the interviews to become like a human shield. I would believe Ben Shapiro.
Let me ask you this,
So let's go with that. No. Let me ask you
At some
this.
point, I must be able to ask you questions. It's not a monologue for you, Bassem.
If we agree that for the 14,000 casualties, I mean, who's counting, are human shield, does that mean that every single one of those civilians was standing, obscuring a military target behind them? Because that's a lot of weapons. I mean, Hamas is packing.
No, of course it doesn't. And look,
so there's some collateral damage. Lots of collateral damage.
Yes.
It's fine, yeah. You kill some to save some and then kill some more. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Again, it comes back to proportionate response. When the world decided it had to get rid of ISIS because of the appalling butchery they were carrying out, it did so by also killing, very sadly, a lot of civilians along the way by doing airstrikes against places which
But killing civilians are inevitable. You said that in the beginning.
My point is,
it's inevitable.
Yeah, but once Israel has decided that they want to get rid of Hamas, and Hamas is embedded with civilian population, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen next. I've written a column tonight saying, I remember the Iraq War, which I opposed, right? I remember all this. So my question for you is, what would you think would be an appropriate response by Israel to what happened?
Well, these are years of disproportionate responses of Israel.
Right.
Did it solve the solution? Did it solve the problem? Did it work before, so it will work? What will be the surprise this time? What will be the twist that will make this work this time? What will be different this time? Seriously, I mean, this is only the last 15 years. I mean, because it's too many papers. I just got this. But how will this be different? And the thing is, I am so glad in the introduction that you mentioned the Iraq War. I applaud you, Pierce, for saying that, because you were honest about it. You said that spreading lies like WMDs made people look at those people as less of humans, and they would accept the death of 1 million Iraqi, whether by sanctions or by invasion, right? You are a good man. This is amazing. And you know what is similar? Is when you spread the lies of 40 decapitated babies, although it was refuted. So what happens when people hear that,
Bro, 40 decapitated babies? Ain't no baby should be dying ever. Babies are pure. We're all babies. I'm a baby. I'm your mama's baby. I gotta be ready for war.
Killing babies is horrible. But when you say decapitated 40 babies, you are planting a certain image
Well, who
with
has
a
said
certain
that?
trigger in people's mind.
Who has said that? Who has said 40?
Who has said that?
Who
You
has
have
said
said
that?
40 decapitated.
Who has said
you
that?
You have repeated.
No, I haven't.
What?
I've never said that.
You haven't said on your show 40 decapitated babies?
Never.
Ben Shapiro didn't say it?
No.
Ron DeSantis didn't say
Nobody
it?
has said.
Okay, Peter.
No, they
nobody
haven't.
said it?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I am wrong. Decapitated. Here's
you're
the thing.
wrong. I've never said
the
that.
thing, what happened, no, you're wrong. But the thing is, when Iraq, but the thing is, the same thing is happening in Iraq. Ben Shapiro once tweeted, not even about Gaza, about the West Bank, when Israel continued to build the illegal settlement. He said, 2017, Israel likes to build things, and Arabs, not Palestine, not Hamas, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
Yeah, I thought that was very
the Israeli defense minister, he said, those are human animals. And the thing is, Ben Shapiro should know better, because, you know, long before the Holocaust, before Jewish people were thrown in the gas chambers, the Nazi propaganda called them rats. Now, as a human being, I will never accept that another human being being thrown into a gas chamber, but a rat, kill 10, kill 1,000, 3,500. They are son of a bitch. They are human animals who live in open sewage and decapitate babies. And because of that propaganda, Mr. Morgan, that guy in Illinois, the 71 years old guy, he killed, stabbing the 6-year-old Palestinian kid in Illinois 26 times. And he used to play with him. They used to be friends. But he went in, marching into their apartment, stabbing his mother and killing him, shouting, all Muslims could die.
Yeah.
It took you 80 years to change one word from Jewish to Muslim. And then you transferred your guilt to us and took away our land.
Bassem, let me ask you a question.
That deal sucks, man.
Let me ask you a question. How do we get from where we are now to peace?
Well, first of all, you need to change the perception. Nikki Haley, the American presidential candidate, said, we are in Israel in this because it's a fight between good and evil. Now, if you already decided someone is good, he can do no evil. And if you decided someone is evil, it's good to kill them. Killing them is good. You see, and the thing is, it is not like something new. I mean, I look at history and I see, I'm sorry to say that, but Westerners has always dealt like this with indigenous people. You first treated them like savages, you know, Native American, First Nation, Aboriginal. They're savages. Kill all the savages. And then when they're almost extinct, you start feeling sorry for them, you know, like animals. So maybe the solution is that we kill as many Palestinians as possible so the few of them that remains do not bother you. And maybe Netanyahu, when he lives for another 100 years, he'll become a tree hugger.
Let me just challenge you on this.
And he will campaign for preserving the three
You keep talking about Westerners like me. Okay, so let me return the favor, okay? Hamas is dedicated to the complete eradication of Jewish people.
I am not the spokesman for Hamas.
I'm not saying you are.
Why do you keep...
I'm not saying you are.
I'm not their spokesman.
You're talking to me.
I fucking hate them.
Bassem,
fuck Hamas. Hamas. Are you happy?
You're missing my point. You're talking in a generalized way about people in the West who always talk about Arabs as savages. I don't.
Yo, this guy has freedom of speech, bruh. Homie is using his freedom to speak it how he wants to. Speak it how he wants to. He said, fuck Hamas on live TV, bruh. Hey, look into Britain's Balfour Declaration letter. Note, Jews in Palestine at the time of that declaration were 10% of the population. You can look it up. Britain's Balfour Declaration. Quick Google. Oh, you said later. Why are Jewish people the center of like everything? Always. Perry the Platypus, you did miss a lot about evolution.
Those are human animals. And the thing is, Ben Shapiro should know better because, you know, when they're almost extinct, you start feeling sorry for them, you know, like animals. So maybe the solution is that we kill as many Palestinians as possible so the few of them that remains do not bother you. And maybe Netanyahu, when he lives for another 100 years, he'll become a tree hugger.
Let me just challenge you on this.
And he will campaign for preserving the three Palestinian.
You keep talking about Westerners like me. Okay, so let me return the favor, okay? Hamas is dedicated to the complete eradication of Jewish people.
I am not the spokesman for Hamas.
I'm not saying you are.
Why do you keep...
I'm not saying you are.
I'm not their spokesman.
You're talking to me.
I fucking hate them. Fuck Hamas. Hamas.
No,
are you happy?
You're missing my point. You're talking in a generalized way about people in the West who always talk about Arabs as savages. I don't.
No. I'm talking about America.
I actually led the campaign. I led the media campaign in this country against the Iraq War. Okay, so I don't see. I don't see people in the Middle East as savages.
You are one of the good ones.
But what I would say is,
I'm talking about you. You're great.
No, it's not about me being great. It's
love you.
It's about the way Hamas behaved on October the 7th was like savages, like a pack of savages. It was the worst atrocity against Jewish people since the Holocaust. There has to be,
of course,
there has to be a response.
They should be eradicated.
My question for you is, notwithstanding the history, Bassem, what is the proportionate response?
But I don't know. But there's no Hamas in the West Bank, and they're still dying there. So what's your excuse?
I don't have any excuse.
Okay, what's your explanation? Sorry, my earpiece went down.
Listen, I don't make any pretense that this hasn't been a massive problem between Palestine and Israel going back to the mid-40s. We all know this, right?
Piers, listen. I'm not saying that you're making excuses, but if you are adopting a certain point of view, you have to at least defend it. I'm telling you, there is no Hamas in the West Bank. What is the excuse? Not your excuse. What is the excuse to kill those people?
Well, listen, this question of proportionality is one that...
No, answer my question. I've been answering your question. You answer mine.
It's actually not my job to answer your questions. It's not.
Okay, not your job. I agree with you.
I'm more interested in you, who has family in Gaza, who's an Egyptian in the Middle East, right? I'm more interested in what you have to say.
Okay, I'm telling you. I think Hamas is the problem, okay?
Right.
Now, let's say Hamas is removed. Let's Hamas. I'm agreeing with everything. You want me to condemn Hamas? I will condemn Hamas, Hummus, Hassan, everybody. Guys, so wait. I can't hear you. The earpiece. Damn. Okay. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do need help.
I think.
Okay.
Just go back. Is he there?
Go back. You go.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go. Thank you, guys.
Can you hear Bassem?
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, Hamas ceased to exist. Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hamas ceased to exist today. Now, right now, in Palestine, in West Bank and Gaza, 20% of Palestinians go through Israeli prison system, whether imprisonment, whether interrogation, whether torture, and the rest of them, they live a life of daily loss of land, of homes, of life, and they are suffocated by this. So let me ask you something. If you are a Palestinian living into these conditions for decades, would you sympathize with your oppressor or sympathize with the people who claim they resist them even if they are terrorists?
I have made no secret that I think the conditions Palestinians...
Yo, what did I miss? The kissing part? Oh, did I miss an important part?
Okay, what's your explanation? Sorry, my earpiece went down.
Listen, I don't make any pretense that this hasn't been a massive problem between Palestine and Israel going back to the mid-40s. We all know this, right?
Piers, listen. I'm not saying that you're making excuses, but if you are adopting a certain point of view, you have to at least defend it. I'm telling you, there is no Hamas in the West Bank. What is the excuse? Not your excuse. What is the excuse to kill those people?
Well, listen, this question of proportionality is one that...
No, answer my question. I've been answering your question. You answer mine.
It's actually not my job to answer your questions. It's not.
Okay, not your
It's
job.
not.
I agree with
I'm
you.
more
It is
interested
not
in
your
you,
job.
who has family in Gaza, who's an Egyptian in the Middle East, right? I'm more interested in what you have to say.
Okay, I'm telling you. I think Hamas is the problem. Okay,
right
now let's
and we're
say
agreed.
Hamas is removed. Let's Hamas. Yeah. I'm agreeing with everything. You want me to condemn Hamas? I will condemn Hamas, Hummus, Hassan, everybody. Guys, so wait. I can't hear you.
Don't take out Jay.
The earpiece. Damn. Okay. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do need help.
I think.
Okay.
Just go back. Is he there?
You go back. You go back.
Can you hear
go back? Okay. Go. Thank you, guys.
Can you hear Bassem?
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah.
So Isaac, let's say, for example, Hamas ceased to exist. Okay. You hear me?
Yes.
Don't take out
Hamas
Jay.
ceased to
No one
exist
should be
today.
banned from the chat. Okay. XZ. No one should be banned from the chat unless they're spamming. Period.
Now, right now, in Palestine, in West Bank and Gaza, 20% of Palestinians go through Israeli prison system.
You're allowed to be rude in this chat.
Whether interrogation, whether
XZ,
torture.
next
And the
time,
rest
don't-
of them, they live a
He
life
is cursing all
of
out.
daily
Just-
loss of
Hey,
land,
freedom
of
of speech, he's
homes,
allowed to say it.
of life, and they are suffocated by this. So let me ask you something. If you are a Palestinian living into these conditions for decades, would you
Uncensored.
would you sympathize with your oppressor, or sympathize with the people who claim they resist them even if they are terrorists?
I have made no secret that I think the conditions Palestinians have had to exist under are completely unacceptable. I've said that for years.
Although we'll deal with
so
the
the question then
precisely.
becomes, how do you forge peace between two warring parts of that region who for decades have approached peace, in my view, with mutual sledgehammers, with no actual desire to have peace? And I think it comes down in the end to great leadership. And I don't think there's great leadership. I don't think, well, hang on, let me make my point. I don't think there's great leadership on either side. Where is the Nelson Mandela figure here to come through all this hatred on both sides?
Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, where is that
Nelson
figure?
Nelson Mandela actually have criticized Israel for being a horrible state. All of the South African
I know.
activists have actually
My
called
point is,
Israel.
my point is
yes.
about how he responded to a country that was so divided. Is a template for how you get to peace, isn't it?
I haven't met Nelson Mandela, so I wouldn't know. But like, there is a point. There's a very important point here. You know, I want to understand what is the logic of Israel carpet bombing Gaza. I mean, if there's a logic, if this will make Israel safe, I want to hear the logic. So if they continue bombing, what are they hoping to achieve?
Well, I think we know what their stated aim is. Their stated aim is to eradicate and wipe out Hamas. They believe Hamas are living predominantly in northern Gaza. They also are aware they're living amongst civilians. So it's an incredibly difficult thing. As I said in my monologue, you know, it is very, very difficult to see how they do this without massive collateral damage.
So if I can understand this correctly, basically Israel is doing this to pressure the Palestinian community in Gaza to turn against Hamas. Is that right?
I'm sure that's part of it, yes.
That's part of it. So this is exactly what terrorist organizations do, because terrorist organizations will have no chance beating a whole nation in battle. So they terrorize and they kill the civilians in order to spread fear and terror so they can turn against their government to change their policy or to resign. You have just compared Israel with ISIS.
No, I haven't. I don't see any comparison between
It's
Israel
going to be
and
the
ISIS.
headlines tomorrow. Piers Morgan, Israel is ISIS.
Only amongst people who weren't listening. The comparison, which is more apposite, is ISIS and Hamas. They are both nihilistic terror groups intent on killing as many Jewish people and others as they can possibly kill. And you can't get peace with people like that.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to do something that nobody done on your television. You know what I'm going to do on your episode? I'm going to pretend that I'm an Israeli citizen. I'm going to put myself in the place of an Israeli settler in the kibbutz. And I want to speak to my Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, I have voted for you because you have promised us peace and prosperity and security. On the 7th of October, those son of bitches, Hamas, they went into the fence that is regularly heavily guarded. Usually, if there's like a dove that comes close to it, it will be shot. Those people went in, and they went for 6 hours before IDF forces was deployed, killing our friends, our families, kidnapping our grandmothers and babies, and went in. I want to ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, after you have fractured the Israeli community and you have fucked our courts, our Supreme Courts, what are you doing with the money being given to you, to the United States? Also, you are carpet bombing Gaza with absolutely no regard to our hostages, our people. I heard a rumor in the kibbutz that you're doing that you let that happen as an excuse to carpet bomb Gaza, so you push them into Sinai. And I didn't believe that. That's like, not my prime minister. He can never do that. And then I watched an interview for Danny Ayalon. He was your chief advisor. He was also the Israeli ambassador to the United States. And you know what he said, Mr. Prime Minister? He said that the solution for those Palestinians is to go into a vast land of Sinai and live into tent cities temporarily, temporarily, wink wink, until we build Gaza again, and then we invite you back. يعني عبط احنا بقى. يعني فاهمني؟ We've seen this movie before. So يعني, and when I saw this, I couldn't explain to my fellows in the kibbutz, how come our Israeli government is trading human lives for another piece of land? So as an Israeli citizen, I need to hold my Israeli government accountable. And as an American citizen, I want to know all of these money that we are giving to Israel. We're giving them $4 billion every year. Joe Biden said it's the best investment America.
Okay. I'm gonna stop watching this video now. Let's do some more reading. It seems that the Jewish people are not gonna be beat, and that they're going to get rid of the Palestinians. Ayan, you're right. No matter what's going on in the world, there's a lot of things that we can't control, but there's one thing we can control. Mind state. You can directly change your mind state by doing more push-ups. Thank you, Unke, for liking my dance. Hey, everyone drop and give me some push-ups. Ashil, let's go. Come on, Ashil. You said it, not me. 5 more. Audio very low. Is it true? It's true, is it true? It ain't gonna be true. So guys, I'm eating, no push-ups for my Umi. What the frick? Umi, push-ups now. Especially before you eat. You got a dessert, you gotta earn that food. And why are you eating? Breakfast and lunch is for losers. Okay, so I'll do 5 with you, Umi. Let's go. And because P said it. Check it. So far, my conclusion is this. Try fasting. I did actually fast yesterday. I haven't eaten anything in over 24 hours, besides just a little bit of cereal, like a handful. But fasting, you feel so pure, feel so. This is what ADHD is. And coffee. So it looks like this ain't gonna end. Meaning this war. I don't see the end of this. So far I've taken a lot of notes. So it's just the kid in you. I will never lose the kid in me. I have the PPP, you have the same. So these are my notes so far. And okay. It seems like this is never gonna end. That's the conclusion I've driven. Bro, you didn't learn shit. Okay, what is the Balfour Declaration? We need your energy to free Palestine one day. Hey, with this energy, I think we could free Palestine. Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing its support of the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine and on the region of small minority Jewish population. The declaration was contained in a letter to oh yeah. The Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by British government in the First World War, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, then in the Ottoman region with a small minority. Public statement issued by the British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, then an Ottoman region with a small minority of Jewish population. The declaration was contained in a letter dated 2 November from the UK's Foreign Secretary Arthur to Lord Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community, for transmission to the Zionist Federation of Great Britain and Ireland. The text of the declaration was published in the press. Okay. Immediately following, began to consider the future of Palestine. Within 2 months, a memorandum was circulated that boycott on a Zionist member. The declaration had many long-lasting consequences. It greatly increased popular support for Zionism within Jewish communities worldwide and became a core component of the British mandate for Palestine, the founding documentary of Mandatory Palestine. Indirectly led to the emergence of the State of Israel and is considered a principal cause of the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict, often described as the world's most intractable conflict. Controversy remains over a number of areas, such as whether the declaration contradicted earlier promises the British made to Sharif to Mecca. Okay, I'm going to be honest, that confused the frick out of me, so let's go to ChatGPT. Balfour Declaration. Hi ChatGPT, please explain the Balfour Declaration to me as if I am a 5-year-old, but make it in the analogy of Spider-Man. Alright, imagine Spider-Man has a really cool toy. Let's say it's his favorite web shooter. Now imagine there are 2 kids. Let's call them Peter and Gwen. They both really want to play with Spider-Man's web shooter because it's so awesome. So one day, Spider-Man tells Peter that he can play with the web shooter, but he also tells Gwen he can play with it too. But there's the twist. Spider-Man doesn't actually own the web shooter. It belongs to his friend Iron Man. So Spider-Man promises both Peter and Gwen that they can use the web shooter even though it's not his to give away. Now Peter is really happy because he gets to play with the web shooter, but Gwen is upset because she thought she would get to play with it too. This makes Gwen and Peter argue a lot because they both want to use the web shooter, but Spider-Man promised it both of them. In real life, instead of a web shooter, think of a piece of land called Palestine. The Balfour Declaration was like Spider-Man promising that land to 2 different groups of people, the Jews and the Palestinians. The promise led to a lot of disagreement and conflict because both groups wanted to live here. Give me another analogy, this time with a rock and a tree. I just thought of that. Okay, imagine there's this big, beautiful tree in the park and all the kids love playing around it because it provides shade and fun climbing branches. Now let's say there's this really shiny rock that all the kids also really like because it's cool to look at and touch. One day the park ranger comes and says, hey kids, I'm going to give the rock to one of you to keep forever. Some kids really want the rock because it's only shiny and special, while others don't care because they're happy with the tree. Now the park ranger picks 2 kids, let's call them Alex and Sam, and tells them they can each have a rock. But here's the catch. The rock is actually right next to the tree, and it's been there for a long time. So Alex gets excited and starts playing with the rock, but Sam also wants to keep the rock because they think it's near their favorite tree, and they've played with it too. This leads to a big argument between Alex and Sam because they both think they should have the rock. In the real world, instead of a rock, think of a piece of land called Palestine. Instead of kids, think of different groups of people who want to live there. The Balfour Declaration was the park ranger promising that land to 2 different groups, which led to a lot of disagreement and conflict because both groups wanted to have it for themselves. Okay, so Britain British be ruining everything. So the British chose that both people should have the land. The opening words of the Declaration represented the first public expression of support for Zionism by a major political power. The term national home had no precedent in international law and was internationally vague as to whether a Jewish state was contemplated. Whoa. Okay, let's read this today. Let's read this again. What is Zionism, though? Zionism is a nationalist movement that emerged in Europe in the late 19th century, aiming for the establishment of a homeland for the Jewish people, particularly in Palestine, a region roughly corresponding to the land of Israel and Jewish tradition. Following the establishment of the State of Israel, Zionism became an ideology that supports the development and protection of Israel as a Jewish state. It has also been described as Israel's national or state ideology. Zionism initially emerged in Central and Eastern Europe as a national revival movement in the late 19th century to reaction to newer waves of anti-Semitism and as a consequence of the Hashaka or Jewish Enlightenment. Throughout the first decade of Zionist movement, some Zionist figures, including Theodore Herzl, supported a Jewish state in several places, such as Uganda. From 1900 to 1948, the primary goal of the Zionist movement was to establish the basis for a Jewish homeland in Palestine, and thereafter to consolidate it. Zionism has never become a uniform movement. Its leaders, parties, and ideologies frequently diverged from one another. Compromise concessions were made in order to achieve a shared cultural and political objective as a result of the growing anti-Semitism and yearning to return to the historical homeland. So... Explain what Zionism is. Sure thing. Imagine you have a big family and they all come from different places, but they all have this one special place they call home. They talk about it a lot, saying how much they miss it and how they dream of going back there one day. Now imagine one member of the family, let's call him David, feels really passionate about this place. He thinks it's just a dream to go back there, but it's something they should make happen. David starts talking to the rest of the family, saying they should work together to go back to their homeland. That's kind of what Zionism is like. It's a belief and movement that says Jewish people should have their own homeland in the land of Israel. The idea started in the late 19th century when Jewish people were living in different parts of the world but facing discrimination and persecution. Zionists believed that having their own country would provide a safe and secure place for Jewish people to live freely and practice their religion. What are you currently searching about? The Israel and Palestine war. I want to know what's going on. And so far, I've learned a lot about Israel. So Israel, the Zionist movement is new. So in 1948, you can watch a video Now search how many Jews lived there at that time, because black Americans can't ask for half of America to be theirs when they're only 12% of the U.S. How many Jews lived in Israel in 1900? Which, okay, only 60 to 85,000. How many Jewish people live in Israel today? So in 1900 there was about 60,000. Oh my gosh! And today there's 10 million. Oh wait, no, 7 million. Whoa. Whoa, what? How many Jews in Israel in 1900, 1940, 1950, and 2000? In 1900, there were approximately 85,000 Jews. Wow. they come from. The Jewish immigrants to Israel came from various parts of the world, including Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and other regions. These immigrants came to Israel for a variety of reasons, including religious beliefs, persecution, economic opportunities, and political factors such as the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. So, Rob James, 4 months ago on live TV, a Turkish MP said Israel will suffer Allah's wrath. Seconds later, he had a heart attack and died. This tells you everything. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. The Nakba was the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in mandatory Palestine during the 1940 Palestine War through the violent, indiscriminate disposition of land, property, and belongings, along with the destruction of their society, culture, identity, political rights, and national aspirations. The term is also used to describe the ongoing persecution and displacement of Palestinians by Israel as a whole. It covers the shadow of Palestinian society and the long-running rejection of the right of return for Palestinian refugees and their descendants. During the Nakba in 1948, approximately half of Palestine's predominantly Arab population, or around 75,000 people, were expelled from their homes or made to flee. Damn, 750,000? At first by Zionist pyramids through various violent means, and after the establishment of the State of Israel by the Israel Defense Forces, that occurred in the wake of dozens of massacres targeting Palestinian Arabs and the depopulation of 500 Arab majority towns and villages, with many of these being either completely destroyed or repopulated by Jews and given new Hebrew names. Hebrew language names were coined for the place names of Palestine throughout different periods under the British Mandate after the establishment of Israel falling. How did Israel get established in 1948? Perry, I missed you. Some speak in facts and some speak religious bias. On May 14, 1988, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. U.S. President Harry S. Truman recognized the new nation on the same day. Oh, shit. This is the us.gov. History.state.gov. On May 14th, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. U.S. President Harry S. Truman recognized the new nation on the same day. Although the United States supported the Balfour Declaration in 1917, which favored the establishment of Jewish nation home in Palestine, President Franklin FDR had assured the Arabs in 1945 that the United States would not intervene without consulting both the Jews and Arabs in that region. The British, who held a colonial mandate for Palestine until May 1948, opposed both the creation of Jewish state and Arab state in Palestine, as well as unlimited immigration of Jewish refugees to the region. So the UK over here said this country exists belongs to Israel. And the US recognized it way on the other side of the freaking globe. What if the earth is flat, bro? What if none of this is even real? The world is so big. What the heck? Imagine if you were alien. You wouldn't even see the world how we see it. You would just see a big little globe. Wow, it's such a beautiful circle. Umi, your mama's round. Get wrecked. Alright guys, tomorrow I'm going to research for 5 hours if the earth is flat or round, okay? Palestine. Officially, the state of Palestine is a country in the southern. So where is Palestine? What is Palestine? Where is it? You tell me, bruh. You will not find Palestine on the map because Israel owned Google. Hey ChatGPT, I want you to compare the populations of present day Israel. Compare the populations of Jewish people to Palestinian people from the year of 1900, the year of 1950, and the year of 2020. Tell me the populations of these three different sets of years for Jewish and Palestinian people. Give me a much shorter and clearer answer. Way less words, please. Certainly. Your 910 Jewish population is one region, approximately 60,000 to 85,000. He wants to know anything about everything. Yes. Palestine population significant, though exact figures are less clear. Jewish population approximately 650K. That's interesting that it doesn't show you the number of Palestinian people. Why do you think that is? Huh. That is interesting. Jewish population in the region, 65. Palestinian population significant, though exact figures are less clear. Jewish population, less clear. Jewish population approximately 65 to 700K. Palestinian population increased, but specific numbers are not readily available. Jewish population in Israel, 6.9 million. Palestinian population, approximately 5 million in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, with additional Palestinian population in the areas. Give me a number for 1950 Palestinians. Come on now, you little biased little bitch. Frick. I apologize for the oversight. While exact figures for the Palestinian population in 1950 are not really available, estimates suggest that it was likely in the hundreds of thousands to low millions. Who asked for percentages? Okay, so if ChatGPT and Google, if Google and ChatGPT are owned by biasm. Oh, you need to ask what's the Arab population. So what's reliable then? Y'all tell me what's reliable then, alright? I'm gonna go get some food real quick and come right back. Let's watch a video. What video should we watch? Let's suggest some videos about this topic. Let's all go to Palestine. Let's do it.
Boost your revenue and drive growth with Google Ads. Reach high-value customers across the entire Google network, like search, shopping, YouTube.
أعزائي المشاهدين السلام عليكم وبركاته، أهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج الدحيح. عزيزي المشاهد الجميل، عايزك تتخيل للحظة أنك طائر نورس بتحلق فوق البحر المتوسط متجه ناحية الشرق، بتوصل لنقطة على الساحل بين تل أبيب وحيفا. هناك فصلها أكتر عن الصهيونية اليهودية. الصهيونية اليهودية
what?
Hello my dear viewers, welcome to another episode of Eldahi. Imagine with me for a moment that you are a seagull flying over the Mediterranean Sea to the east, until you reach a point on the coast between Tel Aviv and Haifa. There you will find a charming and beautiful place known today as Dor, an ideal resort no less wonderful than the beaches of Greece, Cyprus, and Sicily. Soft sand, nice atmosphere and coral reefs, greenery around and beyond the beach, museum and some archaeological sites that date back to the Bronze Age, and many houses that if you see them, you feel that they came from Florida and were stationed here. Of course, there are many resorts around with various services and facilities. Since you're still a seagull who knows nothing...
Tonight on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Israel at war, the uncensored debate.
I'm going to make some
Mohammed
chicken
Hijab
and then I'll
is
be
a
back.
Muslim
Let me know what I
philosopher,
missed.
scholar, and YouTuber whose first appearance on the show was viewed by more than 8 million people. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach has been called the most famous rabbi in America.
Here we freaking
He's
go.
the international best-selling author of Kosher Hate and the Israel Warrior. Both men are passionate, both men are influential, and they both have vehemently opposing views. Tonight, they go uncensored and head-to-head. We're bringing together two very opinionated, passionate, influential people, very opposing views, and we're going to have a proper debate, and we're going to see if somewhere there is perhaps more that we can agree on than we first imagined. So thank you for joining me, gentlemen. We tossed a coin before we came on air tonight, and actually you won the toss, and you said you want to go second.
I defer to my brother.
And the way this will work, Mohammed, we have 4 sections of this debate. And at the start of each one, you'll both get 1 minute uninterrupted to say what you want to say about each of the themed titles of each block. So you go first, and at the end of your minute, you'll hear a sound, and when you hear that, you end, and then Rabbi Shmuley gets his chance to speak. So the first theme is a simple one. Are Hamas to blame? You have a minute, Mohammed, from now.
From one perspective, Hamas started the battle because obviously from October 7th, even they themselves title it Tufan al-Aqsa or the flooding of al-Aqsa. But from another perspective, if you really look at it from an international law perspective, we're talking about 1967, we're talking about Syria Resolution 242, in which it is actually stated that Israel is in a belligerent state because they're occupying the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza. And they have been, so therefore the war has been continual for a very long time according to international law. But let's remove Hamas from the situation altogether. Let's remove them. What do you have? You have the West Bank. And what do you have in the West Bank? You have 187 children who have been put in prisons. They have been put in prisons, according to B'Tselem, without charge. You have 44 children before October the 7th that have been killed before October the 7th in just 2023 alone. So if you remove Hamas from the equation, what you have the West Bank. You remove dominance from the equation, you have the West Bank, and what you have occupation, you have settlement, which you condemned, rightfully so. You condemned that on your show. The settlement's there.
Okay. Rabbi Shmuley, 1 minute to respond.
Resolution 242 in the UN doesn't mention a single thing about aggression or aggressor. That is a total fabrication, and it speaks about disputed territories. But let's be clear. The occupier of Gaza is Hamas. They won an election in 2006, had a civil war with Mahmoud Abbas, took the Palestinian Authority officials, threw them off buildings, killed Muslims, killed Arabs. Mahmoud Abbas is afraid to go to Gaza. He's terrified of Hamas. He hasn't been there since 2007. And let's be clear, Hamas is an abomination to Islam. Sultan Salah al-Din, the greatest Muslim conqueror of all time, after whom the main artery in Gaza is named, he said that you have to allow all prisoners to be redeemed. He would never hold hostages. And remember, Islam is about fair treatment of prisoners of war. Hamas beheaded Thai non-Jewish workers. You asked in your last appearance here for real first-hand sources. I'm the first-hand source. I saw it in Kibbutz Alumim. They raped women. They had sex with dead women's bodies. They are evil, and do the right thing and call them evil.
All right, we've had a minute each. Okay, we've got a passionate start. Mohammed, let me ask you about Hamas.
I want to first, before you do that, I want to commend you, Piers, honestly, because bringing me on for the second time, I have to commend you. And the fact that you actually condemned the settlements is very good. But people want to know, do you think the IDF are a terrorist organization?
No.
You don't think they're a terrorist organization? Okay, well, if you look at the UN definition of terrorist organization, they say killing civilians for political gain.
You're asking my opinion.
No, but if the UN definition, according to the UN definition, is killing civilians for political objectives, why are they not terrorist organizations?
Well, you've asked me a straight question. I don't think they are a terror organization.
So when you see babies like this, the ones who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
It's horrific.
So the people who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
Well, let me respond.
Yes.
Let me respond. We'll both,
it's not your turn.
You can both get into this. Here's my response to that. And I thought carefully about this. I'll be very honest about my own feelings. I have a real moral quandary about this because as a father, I hate these scenes of kids being killed in Gaza. It's horrific, right? We all know it's horrific.
But are they a terrorist organisation, though?
I'm about to explain to you what I think my position is. My position is after what happened on October the 7th, it was so barbaric, so disgusting.
So you can kill children?
Well, no, what you can do...
That's exactly what terrorists say, by the way.
Let me answer your question.
This is not a debate. This is someone else becoming the host of the show and now interviewing you. I thought we were being interviewed. No. Mohammed, you and I are being interviewed. You're not here to interview him.
You're going to have your chance.
Mohammed, you can put it down.
Don't make him lose control of his own show. You do this all the time. I'm not going to let it happen tonight.
All right, Rabbi, let me answer.
Please have respect for the...
No. Stop interviewing the interviewer and be respectful. And be respectful.
Let me respond.
Tell me, sir, is it a terrorist organization or not?
No.
Why not?
I do not believe so.
They kill civilians for political objectives.
You have to let me answer.
Go ahead.
Okay. Here's my answer to that. When Hamas did what they did, two things. One, Hamas knew exactly what Israel's response would be. They knew they would come incredibly hard back.
I don't absolve them.
Wait a minute. I'm not absolving anybody.
I'm not absolving them.
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying the West Bank is West Hamas.
I know.
West Hamas.
You have to let me answer.
You've got 44 children killed like this in the West Bank.
This is ridiculous.
Wait a minute, Rabbi Shmuley. Let me just answer you quickly.
Go ahead.
I believe Israel has a right to defend itself from after that terror attack.
But can they kill children?
Wait a minute.
Can they?
Wait a minute. Particularly after the Hamas spokesman only last week said that they want to do this again and again and again. That's an existential threat to Israel.
Why don't they fight them man to man? Man to man. Fight them man to man. Why do you have to kill children?
Wait a minute.
Why do you have to
Let me answer you, Mohammed.
Why?
Let me answer you.
Of a ratio of 100 to 1, by the way.
Let me answer you.
100 to 1 ratio.
Let me answer you.
Go ahead.
Otherwise, it's pointless.
Go ahead.
So, I agree that Israel must defend itself. I agree they have to get rid of Hamas because Hamas is wedded to an ideology of existentially removing Israel.
Is this acceptable?
Wait a minute. I'm coming to your answer.
Is this acceptable?
I'm coming to your answer.
This is not.
No.
Okay, what did I miss? Grayson, listen, you fool. Is it worth going back or no? Is it worth... Y'all want to watch it again or no? Is it worth it? We're getting yes and no's. Let's analyze what actually happened. It helps to watch things twice. You can see it.
Tonight on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Israel at War, the uncensored debate. Mohammed Hijab is a Muslim philosopher, scholar, and YouTuber whose first appearance on the show is viewed by more than 8 million people. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach has been called the most famous rabbi in America. He is the international best-selling author of Kosher Hate and The Israel Warrior. Both men are passionate, both men are influential, and they both have vehemently opposing views. Tonight, they go uncensored and head-to-head. We're bringing together two very opinionated, passionate, influential people, very opposing views, and we're going to have a proper debate, and we're going to see if somewhere there is perhaps more that we can agree on.
Why is his name Hijab?
So,
but he doesn't wear a hijab.
Gentlemen, we tossed a coin before we came on air tonight, and actually, you won the toss, and you said you want to go second.
I defer to my brother.
And the way this will work, Mohammed, we have 4 sections of this debate, and at the start of each one, you'll both get 1 minute uninterrupted to say what you want to say about
because he's secretly a woman.
Themed titles of each block. So you go first, and at the end of your minute, you'll hear a sound, and when you hear that, you end, and then Rabbi Shmuley gets his chance to speak. So
I don't think they're playing any games here.
Is a simple one. Are Hamas to blame? You have a minute, Mohammed, from now.
From one perspective, Hamas started the battle because, obviously, from October 7th, even they themselves title it Tufan al-Aqsa or the flooding of al-Aqsa. But from another perspective, if you really look at it from an international law perspective, we're talking about 1967, we're talking about Security Resolution 242, in which it is actually stated that Israel is in a belligerent state because they're occupying the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza. And they have been, so therefore the war has been continual for a very long time according to international law. But let's remove Hamas from the situation altogether. Let's remove them. What do you have? You have the West Bank. And what do you have in the West Bank? You have 187 children who have been put in prisons. They have been put in prisons, according to Bet Salem, without charge. You have 44 children before October the 7th that have been killed before October the 7th in just 2023 alone. So if you remove Hamas from the equation, what you have the West Bank. You remove dominance from the equation, you have the West Bank, and what you have occupation, you have settlement, which you condemned, rightfully so. You condemned that on your show. The settlement's there.
$2,970. That is what I made in a month as a smaller creator on a...
Okay. Rabbi Shmuley, 1 minute to respond.
Resolution 242 in the UN doesn't mention a single thing about aggression or aggressor. That is a total fabrication, and it speaks about disputed territories. But let's be clear. The occupier of Gaza is Hamas. They won an election in 2006, had a civil war with Mahmoud Abbas, took the Palestinian Authority officials, threw them off buildings, killed Muslims, killed Arabs. Mahmoud Abbas is afraid to go to Gaza. He's terrified of Hamas. Right. He hasn't been there since 2007. And let's be clear, Hamas is an abomination to Islam. Sultan Salah al-Din, the greatest Muslim conqueror of all time, after whom the main artery in Gaza is named, he said that you have to allow all prisoners to be redeemed. He would never hold hostages. And remember, Islam is about fair treatment of prisoners of war. Hamas beheaded Thai non-Jewish workers. You asked in your last appearance here for real first-hand sources. I'm the first-hand source. I saw it in Kibbutz Alumim. They raped women. They had sex with dead women's bodies. They are evil, and do the right thing and call them evil.
All right, we've had a minute each. Okay, we've got a passionate start. Mohammed, let me ask you about Hamas.
I want to first, before you do that, I want to commend you, Piers, honestly, because bringing me on for the second time, I have to commend you. And the fact that you actually condemned the settlements is very good. But people want to know, do you think the IDF are a terrorist organization?
No.
You don't think they're a terrorist organization? Okay, well, if you look at the UN definition of terrorist organization, they say killing civilians for political...
So you're asking my opinion?
No, but it's the UN definition. According to the UN definition, it's killing civilians for political objectives. Why are they not terrorist organizations?
Well, you've asked me a straight question. I don't think they are a terror organization.
So when you see babies like this, the ones who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
It's horrific.
So the people who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
Well, let me respond.
Yes.
Let me respond.
It's not your turn.
You can both get into this. Here's my response to that. And I thought carefully about this. I'll be very honest about my own feelings. I have a real moral quandary about this because as a father, I hate these scenes of kids being killed in Gaza. It's horrific, right? We all know it's horrific.
But are they a terrorist organisation, though?
I'm about to explain to you what I think my position is. My position is, after what happened on October the 7th, it was so barbaric, so disgusting.
So you can kill children?
Well, no, what you can do...
That's exactly what terrorists say, by the way.
Let me answer your question.
This is not a debate. This is someone else becoming the host of the show and now interviewing you. I thought we were being interviewed. Mohammed, you and I are being interviewed. You're not here to interview him.
You're going to have your chance.
Mohammed, you can put it down.
Don't make him lose control of his own show. You do this all the time. I'm not going to let it happen tonight.
All right, Rabbi, let me answer...
Please have respect for the...
No. Stop interviewing the interviewer and be respectful.
Let me respond.
Tell me, is it a terrorist organisation or not?
No.
Why not?
I do not believe so.
They kill civilians for political objectives.
You have to let me answer.
Go ahead.
Okay. Here's my answer to that.
Cheers.
When Hamas did what they did, two things. One, Hamas knew exactly what Israel's response would be. They knew they would come incredibly hard.
I don't absolve them.
Wait a minute. I'm not absolving anybody.
I'm not absolving them.
Okay.
I'm saying the West Bank is West Hamas.
I know.
West Hamas.
You have to let me answer.
You've got 44 children killed like this in the West Bank.
This is ridiculous.
Wait a minute, Rabashri. Let me just answer you quickly.
Go ahead.
I believe Israel has a right to defend itself after that terror attack.
But can they kill children?
Wait a minute.
Can they?
Wait a minute. Particularly after the Hamas spokesman only last week said if they want to do this again and again and again. That's an existential threat to Israel.
Why don't they fight in
Y'all told me to go back and watch that. That was retarded. That was stupid. Kwame debate with Zionist?
As big and bad as the FBI is. You know, I think as big as bad they are with all this thing, they would pick him up overnight, you know. And Rap Brown, bad who they know they couldn't pick up.
Mr. Carmichael, my first comment is a historical correction. The blacks did not build the pyramids, the Jews did.
The Jews?
That's
I'm
number
sorry.
one.
I beg your pardon?
The blacks did not build the pyramids, the Jews did. That's comment number one.
Okay.
That's right, Jewish labor under
We
Egyptian
understand.
slave masters.
Continue.
My second comment...
Wouldn't have built them without slavery either. Continue,
My
please.
second comment...
We let him state it. You want to help him? Come. You can help him.
All right, comment number 2.
Let your brother continue.
Comment number 2. If you believe that the Zionists control and exploit the people in this country, then you're an anti-Semite, even though you deny it in your book, Stokely Speaks.
Okay. Let's take your...
Comment number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's too bad that you align yourself against the national liberation movement of the Jewish people, Zionism. Because by doing that, you align the black people against the Jewish people. They each have national liberation movements, and to align them against each other just is calling for future conflict between them.
Okay, let's go to number 1. You say the Jews built the pyramids.
That's right.
Does Africa belong to the Jews or to the Africans?
I'm sorry?
Does Africa belong to the Jews or to the Africans?
To Africa.
Thank you. Next question.
They built the pyramids, though.
Hey,
don't grab it.
There's no need to discuss that. Africa is my house.
Yeah, it's just
so whatever is built in my house is mine, isn't it?
Fine, but it was built by Jews. Talking about the pyramids.
Look here, even if the Jews built it, who gave them the plans since they were slave laborers?
Gave them the plans?
Yeah, who gave them the plans?
Nobody gave them any plans. Somebody told them to do it with whips.
Right, somebody told them how to do it with.
The Egyptians, the people
I wasn't talking about the slave labor.
Israelis.
I was talking about the mighty planning of the pyramids. Did the Africans do that?
Well, then the owner of the factory made the shirts, not the workers, right?
Yeah, understood that. Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Tonight on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Israel at war, the uncensored debate.
Well, those blank books, sometimes you want to sit with a book, but you don't want to read. As a comedian, I know what funny is, but I also know what isn't, like using the term OCD as a joke. Imagine having unwanted thoughts stuck in your head all day, no matter how hard you try to make them go away. That's OCD. And 1 of 40 people suffer from it globally. But there's hope. If you have OCD and need help, go to nocd.com to learn more.
Breaking news right out of Gaza. The Israeli military says it's taken control of the Gaza side of the Rafah border crossing. A spokesperson for the crossing tells CNN that Israeli tanks moved into the area. The Rafah crossing is one of the main supply routes for humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. The spokesman says that at the moment, all movement at the crossing has stopped. Also in Rafah, new video shot from the Egyptian side of the border shows explosions from apparent Israeli airstrikes. Palestinian civil defense says bombs hit several homes, killing and injuring a number of people. These strikes come after the Israeli Prime Minister's office said it would proceed with the IDF operation in Rafah to put pressure on Hamas. This comes after a very different scene in Rafah on Monday. These celebrations in the streets happened right after Hamas announced it had agreed to a ceasefire and hostage release proposal. But later, word came that what Hamas agreed to was not the framework negotiated by Israel and Egypt. An IDF spokesperson says the war in Gaza continues for now.
That was beautiful.
Nothing has made me feel more isolated than having OCD. I'll never forget when I accidentally went public about having OCD on a national radio show that I didn't think was broadcasting, and I was devastated.
There was a time when I barely knew how to turn on a computer. Now, I'm a cybersecurity specialist.
ECPI University.
Can't escape those CDI. Where
At
does
one
he
point, I was public enemy #1.
Has
Now
anyone
I'm
watched this interview? Where does he talk about the war? Oh, should we watch Tate and Morgan? Oh, maybe we should watch this one. Okay.
I want to turn to the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. What is your view of this war?
I think when you call it a war, you're doing a disservice to the people who are having their limbs blown
I
off
thought
by
my
some of the
mic
most
was-
advanced technical weapons.
One moment. What happened to my freaking mic? Oh.
On the planet. It is a genocide and it is disgusting. And it doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you fall on. When you observe a genocide in front of your very eyes, you should be disgusted.
Which side is waging genocide?
The Israelis are genociding the Palestinians, and you know it as well as everybody else
know
does.
that.
Well, then it seems like your bosses are not allowing you to know it.
What do you think of what Hamas did on October the 7th?
Why are you starting the story in the middle?
I didn't. I just asked you about the wider war. I'm now asking you specifically about Hamas.
I cannot professionally answer that question without talking about the context that led up to October 7th.
Well, nothing, to my mind, justifies what happened on October the 7th.
Nothing justifies what happened before October the 7th, Piers. This is the exact point. So you're talking to a man, I don't know what answer you expect from me, because let's forget the fact that I'm a Muslim. You're talking to a man who is fighting oppression to the best of his ability because he believes that the people in charge of the world are enslaving us all, to the point where I detriment my own life. I end up in a jail cell because I'm speaking against oppression. Then you're asking me what I would do if my family was blown to pieces.
You're not in a jail. Hang on.
You're asking me what I would do if another government came along and blew my family to pieces?
You weren't put in a jail cell because of any oppression.
Absolutely I was.
No, you weren't.
Of course
you
I
were
was.
put in jail cell because you've been accused of serious sexual crimes.
I would not have been accused if I was not monumentally successful in speaking the truth.
Let me ask you again. It's a simple question. Some people can answer it straight away, including pro-Palestinians people I've had on my program. Many are very quick to say absolutely. Do you believe Hamas are a terror organization?
And that's a very interesting question, but I think you're peddling asininities.
Well, just answer the question.
Can somebody do me a favor? Google asininities and find out if it's a word.
I know what it means.
If it's not, make sure it's added to Webster on Top G's orders.
Okay, just, are they a terror group?
You're peddling asininities because I'll tell you why, Piers. Let me answer the question.
No, I'm not.
Of course you are.
It's a simple question.
That's like me asking...
I'll tell you why I asked, because the UK, where you were born, prescribes Hamas as a terror organization.
They also prescribe me as dangerous to children in schools. Let me explain something to you, Piers.
You're not prescribed as that.
If I were to sit here and say, is stealing wrong? And you'd say yes, and I go, but what if the person stealing is trying to feed their family, and if they don't, their family are going to die? Is it still wrong? You're trying to take a very nuanced and complicated argument and reduce it down to one sentence, which is failure.
You're trying to equate stealing with a mob of terrorists breaking over a border, going to peaceful...
Is that what Israel did?
Wait a minute.
A mob of terrorists breaking over a border
Let me finish.
And killing people. Is that what Israel did?
Going through a border on October the 7th.
Oh, October the 7th.
Massacring young people at a festival, massacring families in their homes in a kibbutz, setting fire to them, cutting their heads off, killing babies.
Oh, killing 40 babies. That was true.
Well, fine.
Were the babies vaccinated?
Why are you being flippant?
I'm not being flippant. The point I am making...
I don't find that funny.
No, but the point I am making is that the media lies, firstly.
No,
secondly...
I can ask you about different things at the same time, right?
Sure.
So I'm asking you, first of all, specifically, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
Sure. I'll answer the question professionally. I do not condone the loss of human life on either side. I think anybody doing anything which directly damages civilians is disgusting and abhorrent. However, I would be an amateur if I could not sit and pretend I do not understand the motivations behind either side. This is not even me taking a side. I understand why Israel is doing what it's doing. I understand why Palestine is doing what it's doing. However, I still call the Israeli actions absolutely abhorrent and genocidal.
Okay, we're going to come to Israel's actions, I promise you. We will ask that question specifically. But in terms of what Hamas did on October the 7th, do you accept that was an act of terrorism?
It's an interesting question because once
It's not really.
It is.
It's
No,
a very
it truly
straightforward
is, because
question.
you're the person who would have called Nelson Mandela a terrorist while he was still in jail, and one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
I wouldn't
For
have
me to
called him
answer
that.
the question, yes, you would have. For me to answer the question.
One person's freedom. One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter?
And I have to be very professional, Pierce. For me to sit on the outside in Romania with no personal involvement in Israel-Palestine, it's easy for me to say, yes, it was an act of terror. However, if I was in Gaza, if I was in an open-air prison, if my family had been annihilated by bombs from the sky, if everybody I knew had suffered the loss of a loved one, if I had no chance of any kind of freedom or democracy or standard of life, would I believe it was an act of terror, or would I believe it's an act of resistance against oppression? You have to be very careful how you answer these questions.
So what do you think?
I think I understand what happens when you take people and put them in such an inhumane condition. For anybody to sit and say that you're going to take people and put them in absolutely inhumane conditions and give them no standard of life, and they're not allowed to ever fight back, or they are terrorists.
But I can agree with you.
Anyone who
Well,
does
wait a
that
minute.
is an amateur.
I can agree with you that the plight of the Palestinians for many decades has been absolutely shameful.
So what did we think was going to happen, Pierce?
No, nothing justifies what happened on October the 7th.
So what are they
Nothing.
supposed to do?
Nothing.
So what are they supposed to do?
That was an act of medieval barbaric terrorism. Nothing justifies it.
Did they suffer
And your
acts
attempt
of
to-
medieval?
your-
Did they suffer
your
acts
attempt to
of
try and
medieval
equivocate-
Did they suffer?
Hey, laptop user, you're a bot. Laptop user, you're a bot. Laptop user, what kind of username is that? Get freaked. Just put you in timeout for one reason, for 1 minute. Because I felt like it. Get fricked. Okay, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. Let's see how long I got. It's been an interesting... Like 4B. When are you doing another Quran session? I'm not sure. I'm taking the... Regarding publicizing my faith, I'm taking it a lot slower, and I'm not going to be talking about it every day. I have no idea how often. It might be never. Because I can't... I'm not trying to deal with everyone commenting about my personal faith all day, every day. It's freaking annoying. Really annoying, actually. And I actually think it brought me further away from God when the more people I started to talk to about it. So, and then I think if the more I talk about faith, yeah, I think it's a good call to text. The more I talk about faith, the more I get like put on a pedestal, and now I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to have 400 people commenting about their faith online. However, this YouTube channel is following my life, so you guys will relatively know what's going on. You know. What's the conclusion on this live stream? The conclusion that I've drawn on this live stream is this. It seems that there's... Thank you guys. When you guys tell me to take your time, it's so peaceful to hear that. So if you actually care about me and my faith, tell me to take my time. Just letting you know. Because anything else other than that just pushes me away, because it's like everyone's so annoying about it. My conclusion is basically... The conclusion is basically this. It doesn't appear that this war is ever going to end. It also appears that Israel the Jewish people, I mean, according to ChatGPT, there was like 60 to 80,000 of them in the year 1900. And now in present day, there's like 7 million. So in the Zionist movement, I guess this is recent. I thought this was like a 2,000-year history, which I technically probably is, but in terms of what's been actually going on recently, it's not that long that this has been going on. And I think that I did my research, and it appears that the Jewish people came to Israel. And in the 1900s, the Zionist movement started, where they believe that they have the right to their land and that it's their land. And so then they began occupying it, and it appears that they're kicking out everybody else. And yeah, it doesn't seem like they're going to give up. It doesn't seem like the Jewish people are going to give up. I don't know what I would think if I was Jewish. I have Jewish friends too. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what my opinion is, or no matter what your opinion on is, I bet all 360 of us have absolutely zero effect on what's going on in foreign affairs. We have nothing to do with what's happening. So does it even matter my opinion? I mean, I just did this as a research project just to know what's going on, because it really doesn't matter what I say. We have such a small impact in terms of trillions of dollars. However, I guess if everyone stands up and researches and figures out what's going on, maybe it would help, I guess. I don't know. But my conclusion is, it appears that this war is not going to end unless one group eradicates the other, which it seems like Israel is trying to do that with the Palestinians, and I think that would be the only way that this ends. So it's not looking too bright for the future. All I would say is I would not want to live there long term. That's basically my conclusion of the day. Everyone can contribute to change, but how? I mean, I know we can all contribute, but which side are you taking? It appears that Palestine's being kicked out of their land, or Palestinians, Arabs are being kicked out of their land, and the Jewish people are occupying Israel at all cost. So I'm not saying this is what should happen. I'm just saying it seems like it's not going to end until. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like they're going to give up. Doesn't seem like the Jewish people are going to give up. So imagine it was your family being killed. Oh yeah, then I'd really be pissed. But it's not. So I don't have any personal connection to this. That doesn't. I'm just stating a fact. I have no emotional connection towards this besides me not wanting people to die, and of course I don't. And I want peace in the world, but according to my research today, it doesn't seem like there's going to be peace. I just did the research, and it does not appear that this is going to end. Yeah, the Jewish people seem pretty stubborn, meaning they're going to take their land and they're not going to give up. So awareness is the first step to influence politics. True. Richie Gardner, in Islam, we can't guide you. Only Allah can, so take your time. At some point you want to take Shahada, don't worry about making sure you do it on stream or anything like that. Is your journey, not ours. Very true, Richie Gardner. Thank you. Thank you for telling me to take it slow. Oh my gosh, Afet's here. We pray for them all the time, and that's what matters. God will ask us, what was the least you could have done? And the power of prayer is huge. That's all. True. Hey, let's say a prayer right now. God, I pray for any people in the world who are being attacked. Any people in the world who are being kicked out of their homes. I pray that you give them power to stand up and defend their home. I pray that you show them the way out. I pray that you not let evil win in this world. I pray that you enlighten us and show us the straight path. I pray for everyone being weep together and everyone praying with me right now. Praise for everyone who's being persecuted. I hope their persecution can teach. If the persecution is not stopped, I pray that people can learn lessons from this and grow closer to you and understand the brutal realities of life. In your heavenly name, protect anyone being persecuted today. Give them strength and honor and glory to protect their homeland. Amen. Amen. I love when everybody says amen, 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 amen. Amen, 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 amen. Amen, 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 amen. Can you explain to me the Trinity? No, I can't, because I don't know how. Amen, 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 amen. Okay, guys, I have to be a little bit quieter because there's someone next to me. I don't want to disturb them. Hey, W's in the freaking chat. I'll be streaming tomorrow. One of these days I want to react to, I want to do a complete reaction to my conversation with the Muslim cowboy. That was a long conversation. And with Maurice, would you guys want to see me react to that sometime over the next week? It'd be like 2 hours of reacting. It'd be funny though, 3 hours. Yo, digital dollar, chill. Yes, okay. Do I think the Trinity is logical? No. Okay. Bye, guys. Much love. Keep being you. Stay peaceful out there. And remember, the only thing you control at the end of the day is your mind state. No matter what anyone says to you, no matter what people's opinions are of you, it's all noise. It's all noise in your ear. Only you know yourself and only God knows the truth. Only God knows. Remember, there's only one thing you can control. Your mind state. Much love. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't be fat. The end conclusion is that this war is not going to end. And Israel has occupied, Jewish people have occupied Israel over the past 100 years. That's the conclusion. GG's. Bye. I love you. Don't be fat. Don't be chubby, okay? Otherwise you're a little bot. In Animator's world, don't be fat. Keep doing more push-ups, okay? Next time, maybe we'll do research ASMR. And we'll look for what's true in this world, okay? I'm fat. I love you. Yo, what the frick? Am I back? Yo, wait, what? I'm back. Yo, how we doing, chat? Welcome. Am I back? Yo, this next stream is for the real ones out there. The real OGs. The ones who have been here from the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? We gonna slime that. On my mama, alright? Hey, in anime roast the shit out of you, you little freaking bot. Hey, Dr. J. Smithers, you ain't no PhD. I'm gonna have you fight me right here. Perry the Platypus, you're a fake little Perry. You ain't worth shit, Perry the Platypus, alright? You're a little bot. Hey, Omar Muhammad, you're telling everyone not to be fat. It's probably because you're fat, alright? Omar, get in the gym right now, you little bot. Hey, Barry the Platypus. W. Dr. J. Hey, toasted macaron. What kind of name is that? Annie Leonhardt. ASMR is gay. You're gay, Annie. You have a profile picture of an anime character because you're too afraid to show your face and make real comments, Annie. What are you gonna do about it, huh? Hey, bruh, I can't grow a beard, alright? Chill. I'm only 16. Bro evolved to a lion. W, Barry the Platypus. Barry the Platypus, you little freaking butt. Hey, Omar Muhammad said XD. I'm already fit, my brother. Prove it. Your profile picture needs to be a six-pack, Omar. I don't believe you. You're probably chubby. Hey, who thinks Omar is tubby? Hey, who thinks Omar is tubby? I'm 13 and can grow a beard. Yeah, because you probably took steroids, you little butt. W, women don't show their face on social media. Oh, true, Annie Leonhardt. True, W. Yo, Omar kinda tubby, not gonna lie. I'ma have to agree. I am chubby, I think, maybe. Alright, y'all, I gotta go. Omar is tubby. Everyone, Omar is tubby. Spam it. Omar, you're fat. Omar's fat.